This is quideo number 3, advanced question. The advanced question comes from the American Society of Microbiology, and they were studying the people passing through U.S. airports that don't wash their hands. They studied 6 major airports and observed 7,541 people in the month of August 2003. And then they generalized this data to people who use public restrooms. The first question is, what is the population of interest? The population of interest are all people who use public restrooms, specifically at airports in major cities, and how they don't wash their hands. Part B says, was the sample selected in a reasonable way? Because they only sampled major airports, the sample was not reasonable. This is because there are many other public restroom areas that could skew the data if collected. They also only chose 6 major airports. If they had chosen a few more, then it would have helped make the data more normal. Their population was also too small. 7,541 people is a very small fraction to the actual amount of people in the United States that use public restrooms. Also, since they generalized this data to people using public restrooms in the United States, then collecting data from just airports would not represent the data as a whole, since there are other public restroom places here in the United States. C asks, is the sample likely to be representative of the population of interest? This sample is not likely to represent the sample of interest. People who use public restrooms at major airports, because the sample size of the 6 airports and 7,541 people is too small of a sample size to be applied to the whole entire population of the United States. Also the people that use major airports. Also, there are many different factors that did not get accounted for as to why people did not wash their hands. Such things like they had too many bags, they are in a huge rush and they didn't have time, or they just prefer to use hand sanitizer. Also, airports do not represent a whole country filled with public restrooms. D says, are there any obvious sources of bias? There is bias because the data was only collected from a few major airports when there are many in the U.S. The data was very under-collected because of this. This was sampling because who said these 6 cities are the most major cities in the U.S. and have the biggest airports.